I will give Vincent the mic to introduce himself so that you can know exactly who Vincent is. You all know him as a board member of Lightup Impact, but he can tell us more. Who wants to know a little bit more about Vincent? Yes, me too.
All right, okay, thank you. So just outside Lightup Impact, there's quite a bit of things that I engage in, but I proudly identify myself as a change maker. So I know all of us in this room also identify as change makers. You know, we are people who see challenges out there and we don't rest until we find solutions for these challenges. But most importantly, we don't just see ourselves as change makers and rest at finding solutions for the challenges that we are seeing, but we also put ourselves in positions where we can move barriers for other people. That's why for me this conference is really, really a powerful one. Seeing that we are in positions where we can move barriers for young people to really find their superpowers, change makers, but also support them to increase their capacity also as change makers. So I also serve as the regional director for Ashoka. Ashoka is an organization that is credited for starting the field of social entrepreneurship. But there is much, much more beyond that. And I'm around, and I would love to have one-on-one and get to share more about me. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Vincent. And I will give a few rules of my panel discussion. So don't let that question skip you. Feel free to raise your hand, ask it, because we are here to share knowledge, you know, and we are here to bridge perspectives between different generations, youth leaders, grassroots actors, and senior experts in gender and climate, some of who are in front of you. And this is basically about fostering conversation, mutual learning, you know. If you have that question and you feel like something did not come clear, please feel free to raise your hand. And from time to time, we will also have a thorough Q&A section if you feel that your questions have not been addressed. So I will dive straight into it, and I think I will throw my question directly to Naiyan. And as you heard that Naiyan has worked so much at the intersection of gender and climate justice at the grassroots, of which if you've not heard about Narok, and I insist, I've worked there, I've been there, I partner there, you need to learn so much. It has so much. There is so much knowledge about the way the Mara used to operate before the fence, before the government, and how people used to, you know, reserve their environment, not only for themselves, but also for the animals. So it's such a fascinating place to learn about. So Naiyan, and my question for a start will be, as you introduce what you do and how you do it, would you please just share a little bit more about some of the efforts that you are currently working on in terms of advocacy and capacity building of the women you work with?
Okay, thank you very much for the opportunity. And my name is Naiyan, just like the way you have heard, and I am working with Paran Women Group, inclusive of youth. And we are now 20 years old, advocating for climate justice and gender equality. And the things that we have been working tirelessly with the indigenous women to make sure that our communities run well, especially for the youth and women, because I am coming from two communities, which is the Maasai community and the Okie community, and these are two minority communities in Narok County. These two communities are affected or impacted negatively with climate change, and that is why we sat down as indigenous women and decided on what to do so that these youth and women can run their livelihoods well, and also especially the youth and the women to run their livelihoods and have safe spaces So what we have been advocating for, or the work that we have been doing mostly, is to ensure that these youth and women have some activities to run their livelihoods, and these activities we normally do with our traditional knowledge, because we believe in traditional knowledge, innovation, and collectiveness. So these activities are indigenous solutions that make them move forward and adapt it to climate change, because we saw that the youth and the women are the ones who are mostly affected. They are the ones who are being left behind, and they are being discriminated in our communities. So we have been working tirelessly on economic empowerment. We have been working tirelessly on livelihoods, to make sure that they have something that they are using in their homes. And we have been advocating also for leadership and women's rights, and also to make sure that our women and youth have a voice in our community.
Thank you very much. I will just question straight next to Vincent. Yes. And Vincent, Naiyan has just shared about how local women are adapting through community projects and traditional knowledge. So I will put you on the spotlight as Ashoka. So how does Ashoka support such efforts through advocacy, capacity building, or...
Thank you. So number one, like I said, Ashoka, started the field of social entrepreneurship. And what we do, we support women social entrepreneurs. And this, I think, should encourage all the women in the room. It's not because we decided, okay, we're going to just focus on women social entrepreneurs, but because women are actually the most resilient, the most creative, the most innovative, and the most in touch with reality social entrepreneurs. Please mark coffee for all the women in the room, because that's a fact. And so because of that, we find our network of 5,000 plus social entrepreneurs with so many women social entrepreneurs. So we support them through capacity building, and of course there is stipend for those who make it to become Ashoka Fellows. And we also work intentionally to find opportunities for collaboration amongst themselves, but also between them and the corporate world. So we kind of facilitate opportunities for collaboration between women social entrepreneurs and corporates and government and other players. So I'd say that is what we do primarily. And we do amplify a lot of work that women social entrepreneurs are doing. There is a big initiative that maybe at some point you'll see, we'll share this on our social media platform. It's called WISE. This is being led by Ashoka Arab World. And what they're doing, they're supporting women social entrepreneurs, and they have a grant that goes towards supporting ideas that are generated in collaboration, between women social entrepreneurs. But also let me just say this. I think it's really high time we take it seriously when we're talking about leveling the playing field for both genders, for women and also in this case for young people. There are issues that are barriers to getting this to happen. And some of those issues are issues that we have control over as individuals and control over as a movement, control over as a network. For instance, there are a lot of these things that are things to do with our attitude, our mental, orientation, our values. And some of these things we definitely can change them. We can rethink how we look at young people, for instance, the abilities of young people. We do know there's a lot that is said about young people negatively in terms of their ability to execute, their ability to concentrate, their ability to deliver. But then when we see young people who are doing those things and doing them excellently, I think it's incumbent upon us to amplify that and celebrate that. So young people, we do agree that there has been a bit of negative attitude, negative perception, and this is not new. I think over the time, historically we know this, it's a phase that has always gotten a bit of a beating because you're trying to manage, identify yourself, give yourself an identity, but also there are rules and regulations that sort of hinder how far you can go. So, long answer, short question. We're supporting women, but also we're looking at really trusting young people to lead and moving barriers for young people to find their superpower as change makers and lead. Thank you.
Thank you. And to Zainab. As I mentioned, Zainab works for Aga Khan Foundation, Tanzania. And Zainab, from Aga Khan's regional experience, do you see similar challenges emerging across contexts? Do you see any, from the conversation with Naiyan and Vincent, do you see any similar challenges emerging across contexts? And maybe you can give a brief about some of the work that you do in those areas.
Thank you very much. And it's true, we have been working across various countries, and what we are experiencing is that the issues, not only challenges, the issues, the experiences, opportunities, as well as challenges are almost the same across the countries within the African continent. And as I'm speaking, I just can say that we, sometimes when we speak about the gender and climate change, we normally tend to treat them as two different things or different challenges, but that is very wrong. That is not the reality. The issue is the two things are very interconnected, they are related, and in Aga Khan, we normally with simple truth that not reach gender equality if the climate is not well. Thank you. We just say that these two terminologies are very linked, are very interlinked, and they interact very very closely. You cannot say that you are moving towards gender equality if you don't have good strategies to attain climate resilience issues, and you can never reach climate resilience if you don't have strategies for gender equality. So starting from there, we can move very well. And in Aga Khan Foundation, we have some of the interventions. We have programs running in across countries. I will just share experiences from Tanzanian context, where we have a program known as School 2030. And in that program, we do work with young people. We start the program with pupils starting from primary school level. The program is normally working with teachers, but we capacitate teacher, impart them knowledge and experience on how they will work with young generation and make them work towards gender equality and climate resilience. And one of the very important intervention we are doing there is and not our initiatives, but after co-creating with teachers in the ground, we decided to initiate school gardening. And in those school gardening, we use organic farming, where teachers have been imparted knowledge on how to conduct those organic farming, using biofertilizers, using everything from the local made materials without using chemicals. So they have initiated the processes, and as a result of that processes, parents and teachers have decided to initiate the school feeding program from the output and the results being harvested from the school gardens. So pupils are eating at school. Parents are normally contributing a little bit from their home. But what they are eating, it is something which is very natural, very organic. They plant in their school, they water, clean water, they use organic fertilizers, organic manure, and all the even the pesticides are not chemically made, but they are locally made using the residues from what they are cooking. I can just share an experience of this as a success story. We were working with some of these teachers, and one teacher was very passionate about it and started this garden at her home. And after some time, she managed to harvest more than what she has been harvesting using chemical fertilizers. And most of the community members around her came to learn from her on how she has managed to grow those veggies in her home using those purely organic materials. And they are learning from them. Some of them learn from that particular teacher, others learn from the schools. And as a way, we have managed to support the community to start to use organic farming materials, and they reduce chemicals consumption. It is a way of helping the climate resilient initiatives, but also improving gender equality, moving toward gender equality. As we know, in African context, most of those who work on family feeding are women, and sometimes supported by girls. So women in most of the communities, areas where Aga Khan is working, have started to do those organic farming, and the organic farming are helping them to improve their own health, improving the health of the communities. As I said, the harvesting and the yield has increased. Then they have the opportunity even to sell the crops and use the obtained money from the organic materials to support their child schooling and other things. They also confessing that they are attending to hospitals. The tendency to go into hospital has been reduced because they are eating natural foods. Then they have improved their health. So it is like a double or triple impact that they improve their harvest, they improve their health, and yet they get money as a source of improving their income. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And a number of things have been mentioned so far. Vincent talked about how women are resilient, creative, innovative. The list is long. Let me not get there. I can see some men looking at me. I did not say you're not creative or innovative. There is some acknowledgement that women are going above and beyond. So someone also mentioned something about being able to amplify and celebrate. I have to say that I feel like grassroots literally have the power when we collaborate, when we do things together, when we share knowledge, when we are able to pick up somewhere where someone else have reached and help them move that step forward, or we move together. I have seen so many great projects through collaboration, by combining efforts, by combining creativity, by combining innovations. So that's why I really love the idea around Lightup Impact. I have known quite a number of grassroots through these forums. I've been in all the forums since the beginning. And I can say that I have learned about some great work from the people in this room. Earlier on, someone mentioned what Roger said a while back, that most donors do not trust young people. And I have experienced it firsthand, to a point of where we had to bring someone a little bit older to, talk more about us in our board so that we can look like we know exactly what we are doing. So I know that is a challenge to most of you, and that brings me to a more focused conversation on youth leadership and gender and climate justice. As a matter of fact, I personally grew up in the rural area with my grandmother. And some of the things that she has taught me about farming, I didn't even learn them in university, and I studied in an agricultural-based university in Nakuru. So I was able to even share some of the knowledge with my lecturers, and they thought it was, it was not more like borrowed from existing knowledge, from my grandparents and all the people that I worked with in the farm. So sometimes I can say that as much as we think that, old people have old ideas, sometimes we can borrow from their knowledge and innovate using that knowledge, build on it. So that takes me to Naiyan. Naiyan, I would like you to tell us a little bit more about the lived realities of women and youth who have been affected by climate change in your region. And if you've been to Narok, you know that there is quite an effect of climate change. It is now partly a arid, semi-arid area. Yes. So maybe you can tell us more about the lived realities of those women and young people who are affected by climate justice.
Okay, thank you.
Injustice,
so,
sorry.
In Narok County, realities of realities of youth and women that are affected by climate change. We have different things that we have experienced in our place. And these things that we have experienced are realities that are very, very crucial, especially when it comes to the youth. Because what we have been seeing as a Paran women group is problems on girls, whereby most of our girls drop out of schools. This is because of early pregnancies, maybe matters around gender-based violence, just knowing that our cultures are still strong, especially when it comes to circumcising our girls. They still do a lot of circumcision. So these things have been very, very, it has brought us a lot of problems, especially when it comes to education on girls. We have realized that most of our girls are dropping out of the school. Others are being married when they are as young as 12 years of age. And also with this, we realized that there is poverty in our community, whereby women don't have money to at least support their girls to continue with their education. And this is the space whereby girls look for sponsors. And in this journey of looking for sponsors to support them, that is where they get where they fall out of school. Because so it is good for us to have some so because of these problems that we have been facing, we have also experienced some of the families divorcing because of the poverty and also because of lack of, maybe they don't have they have nothing to use in their families to feed their children, because the men are leaving the women behind to take care of the families, and maybe the woman doesn't have anything in the house to use, maybe to buy food. And sometimes we even experience problems when it comes to empowering our girls. That is when our girls speak out and say, our mothers, our parents are leaving us in the houses and we don't have nothing to feed with the children. So that is the time when they'll sell themselves so that they'll get money to buy food for their for the family. So this one has been very crucial. Even the youth, the young men, they are also facing problems because you find most of them leave schools because they want to go look for jobs so that they can assist the family, maybe to get food, and also for the young children, maybe to continue with school. And the jobs that they are going to look are very bad, and maybe the salaries for those jobs is very little. It is not enough to actually run the livelihood in the family. And another problem that we have seen is the divorce. I've talked about divorce. Most of the families, they are separated, and this is because of the problem of poverty. This is because of the problem of men leaving their wives behind so that they go look for pasture and water for their livestock. As you know that the Maasais are pastorals and the Okiek are Andas and Kataras. And because of climate change, these are the people who actually depend on land most of the times. And these lands now, they are degraded. They depend on land to get their resources. They depend on land to get everything. So because of this climate change, they are not accessing things just like the way it was during long time ago. And what we have done to actually address these things is we have managed the Paran women group to at least make sure that we have some income generating activities, different income generating activities, according to the place where people come from, because we have women and youth coming from island and others are from lowland. We have those people, the women who are coming and the youth who are coming from a place where they cannot access even little water. And that is the place whereby we implemented some income generating activities like beekeeping, like beadwork. And these activities have been supporting them because they can access small income to at least buy food, to at least buy the needs, especially the girls, so that they can buy even the sanitary pads and continue with their education. And also the women, maybe in islands, we have managed to empower them with income generating activities like the kitchen gardens, to make sure that these women, through traditional knowledge, and this is mostly organic farming, they produce indigenous vegetables, they produce indigenous food that are not, they use organic fertilizer, and this farming that we introduced to them is a farming that is friendly to the environment, because as we are conserving our environment, and also the youth and the women, we have managed to establish 3 nurseries, indigenous 3 nurseries, whereby there is indigenous trees, there is fruit trees, and also there is medicinal trees, because we realized that most of our people are affected by different diseases, and they don't have access to hospitals, because they don't have even that money to go to the hospital. They even don't know where the hospital is. Most of our people are on land, so they cannot go to get medication, and we saw that it is good for us to empower, especially the older women, those who have knowledge on indigenous medicine, and we advised them to at least plant in their homes, because there is no, in the forest, it is degraded, and those medicine are disappearing in the forest. And because of this, we have done it, and we have seen that it is working. And also for the youth, we have tried to take them for different exchange programs, learning programs in different countries, in different places, so that they can meet with different youth and exchange ideas and learn together, likewise to the women. And we have seen that it is working, because most of our indigenous youth and women are not learned. You cannot take them to the class and a project will not understand, but from our research we saw that when we take them for an exchange program, they will come and implement what they have seen from other people doing outside. Another thing that I don't want to forget about the youth is that we have formed the Mazingira Ambassadors of Change. These Mazingira Ambassadors of Change is a small groups whereby we have in every location like 300 youth working around climate justice, implementing 3 nurseries, doing producing energy saving cookstoves, and these ones are for sale. They also make the briquettes, and they learn from they learned this from different groups, other groups implementing same activities like for Paran women group. So those are the activities that we have actually made sure that the youth are doing. And also we normally celebrate what the youth are doing, especially during the calendar events, when we have like International Tree Planting Day. This is where we celebrate our youth, and we also celebrate them through through games. They do friendly matches, and we give them some gifts because of the good work that they are doing. Another thing that I don't want to forget, the last one, please. Also, we have introduced the community saving and loaning. This is called the VSLA. And we have seen that it is working because most of the youth now, they are in VSLA groups. They are saving their monies. They are giving out, and it comes out with a profit. And by the end of the year, they divide their monies and do something which is seen. Like now, you can find that most of the youth groups, they have like their own cows that they have bought. They have their own plots that they have bought, and they are now continuing building the plots so that they can get a sustainable income generating activity. And apart from that, we normally do always more of capacity buildings and more of trainings to the youths, and all of them plus the women, and all of them we bring we work closely with our county government. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Naiyan has mentioned a number of that are new to us. Poverty is new to us. Climate change is new to us. FGM, illiteracy, early marriage, school dropouts, divorce and separation. These are some of the issues that affect our society. We all know about them. And these are some of the things that most of you, especially when it comes to issues of gender. And I see that our time is moving really fast. And my next question will be going to Zainab. So Zainab, what lessons can we draw about partnership between civil society and youth movements, especially some of them that have very inspiring backgrounds in some of the things that we as young people can borrow from those success stories?
Okay, thank you very much. Actually, I just wanted also to share, and this what I'm sharing, real experience will also bring us to our question. Aga Khan Foundation has been implementing a project known as Advancing Gender Equality through Civil Society, and Aga Khan was working through partnership with local organizations. And these local organizations, some of them were being youth-led, and others, and most of them were being implemented by youth. And through these projects, it was being implemented across 5 African countries, Tanzania, Kenya, Uganda, Mozambique, and Madagascar. What we learned from that experience is that when youth are trusted, given an opportunity, mentored, and they're allowed to co-create, they normally come with very brilliant ideas. They bring good ideas, they bring energy, and they also have that daring heart of implementation and supporting the outcome and the impact of the program. So what I'm just saying here, that we need to involve youth. And if I take an example of Tanzania, where almost 77% of the population is young people, and of that 77%, like 35% of them are youth from 15 to 35 years. You can see we will never reach our development, the sustainable development, if this group of people, more than 35% of our nations, are left behind. So moving for the theme of leave no one behind will help us to support youth, to capacitate them, to mentor them, and to do a co-creation ideas, implement it together. They will be learning, but also they will support movements. We had some interventions through this project where some organizations were working with various groups, but we have one group in southern Tanzania, Mtwara, who were working with we call them kungwis, those traditional health workers, and they supported them to be able to transform their way of thinking. Instead of doing those harmful traditional issues to young girls and youth, they transformed and started doing them in a positive way, and also they introduced some of economic activities where they are now doing things like cash processing. They make soap using seaweeds and that issue. So here we are learning that if youth organizations are being trusted, being given space and opportunity, allowed to co-create, not impose ideas to them, they always come with brilliant ideas and support the movement. I also had another experience on one of the Aga Khan Foundation organization working in Kyrgyzstan, where youth who have been allowed to work with Aga Khan Foundation and co-create a community climate adaptation intervention. This intervention, youth actually the organizations brought their experiences, but youth also brought their energy, their ideas, and they brought their very innovative ways of implementing these climate resilience interventions in a way that most of those interventions has been adopted by the government. And from this point, we are now just confirming to ourselves that when youth are trusted, being given opportunity, allowed to co-create as a way of learning, they normally come out with a very brilliant impact to the community, and we can actually experience a tremendous shift if we do trust and allow our young people, the youth and the young generation, to work together with us, implement together, and just take their ideas positively, learn together, and be able to reflect and know where we are not going well, we do change the strategy and move together. I believe this will be a good way to go. Thank you.
Yeah, before I open to our audience to ask questions, Vincent, I think you've had a very consistent theme on co-creation, about involving the youth, trusting the youth, mentoring, giving them an opportunity to co-create solutions, and supporting them. I know support takes many shapes and forms, because sometimes support is a matter of knowledge. It's a bringing someone to it's a matter of finding those resources, share with them, financial, sometimes it's knowledge as well. Knowledge also plays a very key role. And how do you feel like, what are some of the structures do you feel we can support this co-creation?
Great. That's a very good question. What are the structures? So I think the first and foremost, let me say this to young people who are in the room. Sometimes, I ask myself, where does young start, where does it end? You hear people who are young at heart and all that. But you're young. So the thing that you have is time. Okay, so we don't, there's so many factors that come into life, but for sure, the one thing that you have is time. So the time that you have, there's a lot that you can do with it. And to the question in terms of what are the structures? So there are three things I can suggest. So there are structures, there are processes, and then also there is a culture. So number one, when you're thinking about structure, I'm thinking about the entire ecosystem. How do we put our ecosystem, how to develop an ecosystem that has structures that support young people to generate ideas, build their ideas, and scale their ideas. So you're thinking of those structures, and that must be deliberate. So it means getting back into organizations that are well established. How are they giving opportunities to young people, creating spaces for young people to come in? Because if you have an ecosystem where many young people are showing up, are pushing things, then you begin to develop a structure that is in tune with what they need. The second thing is process. So we also need to find processes, and I think we can learn a lot from the team that was organizing the conference. We need to have processes that are encouraging to young people. So when you have processes that are so kind of bureaucratic, I mean, you know very well that, like I said, you do have the time, but you don't have the entire time. I mean, there has to be processes that are self-perpetuating when it comes to fundraising, for instance, seeking funds, and all that. So we have to look at the processes, and we think about the processes within the ecosystem and also within our organizations. The other thing is culture. So I talked about the mindset. We need to have a mindset that really does acknowledge and support and appreciate that young people do have something to offer. And having said that, all the young people in the room, the one thing that no one is going to give you, and you should not even wait for anyone to give you, is permission to be creative, permission to innovate, permission to bring about change. No one is going to give you that. And the one thing that you must nurture for yourself, beyond the, let's say, the academic, the training, all the qualifications that you get in the different, journey that you're doing, the one thing that you must give yourself is freedom. You must give yourself that sense of freedom. So those two things, no one is going to give you the freedom to innovate, create, do it yourself. And no one is going to give you the confidence, build the confidence yourself. And the one way of building that confidence is essentially what we are seeing here. There is a book, before I leave, I probably remember the name, but it talks about grassroots mobilization, how underdogs defeat, what are they called? Big dogs, yeah? And I think with Hope we were discussing something earlier, how well-established organizations tend to suppress, emerging organizations, especially the grassroots. So here's the thing, and touches to this topic. What the book talks about is how underdogs can win, and this is an insight, you can take it and utilize it. It talks about getting to understand the moment you are in. In other words, contextual analysis. You're not going to get that analysis if you're not practicing this intergenerational dialogue. Like we've said, sometimes, you think, oh, those old people, they have old ways. Yes, they do have old ways. But you will be surprised, those old ways do carry and are probably the DNA of the brilliance that you are seeking with the new ways. We think about climate change and all the things that you're saying, these are the new techniques. We are talking about renewable energy. Your grandmother obviously told you about solar and why sun was important. And we think those ones are new. They're not new. There's a lot that has been boxed, has been put into theories, and we're made to believe this is something so sophisticated. But just have a conversation with someone way older than you, you'll realize the knowledge is just right here. So I'm encouraging intergenerational conversation around climate and gender, and also just to underscore the point that I said that women are the most innovative, the most resilient, the most creative. It stems from something that over time we have thought we've ignored it. And I'm so happy that we've had two mamas here just talk about the things that I wanted to underscore. There is something that women get before men, especially in those domestic traditional arrangements where we were talking about household chores. Girls learn early how to plan, how to plan and make do with what they have. Mama Zainab, I know you'll agree with me, Naiyan as well. But men, since the invention of education and seeking knowledge out there, we're busy, we start early, going to hunt, but what are you hunting? Okay, times have changed. So there's not much of planning, there's not much of creativity, all those things that then lead us to make this conclusion that women are really creative, very resilient, very innovative. And we think about climate change, they're the ones who are really affected immediately, because then you have a huge population of men who are out there, and I'm talking about women in the rural areas. They're the ones who are most affected. and they're really trying to make do with the things that they already have down there. So we really need to think about climate change from that gender lens. And when we do that, we'll be solving for everyone. And because they get to feel some of these inadequacies, imbalances, whether it's imbalance of justice, imbalance of power, inadequacy of resources, real time and in good numbers, in a critical mass, then we have no other option but to look at everything that we are looking at from a gender lens. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I only have room for 2 questions. Yes. Yeah. There and there.
Habari zetu.
Nzuri sana.
I'm Tyson Shanda. I work with Health Promotion and Rights Watch Uganda. I really wanted to appreciate these 2 ladies who talked about nutrition. I'm really happy that we are driving these things on food and nutrition, and mostly on school feeding. As Health Promotion, we have a center in Uganda called Hunger Agro Center, where it's a hub where people come, learn how to use their small land, how to plant different things. I'm really happy to have these conversations about nutrition and involving school children, mostly girls, who are affected by food scarcity and food at home. Really, I really appreciate you. Thank you so much. I hope we shall have more conversation on the sidelines to enhance food and nutrition in East Africa. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The lady in orange.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi, everyone. My name is Omboga Eva. I'm a law student at Kisii University. I'm also a programs officer at the Forever Africa Power Dada, based in Kisii. So I appreciate the fact that our mothers have spoken about period poverty. I appreciate this conference, but my question goes to our older generation, let me say that, because you've incited boldness in us as the youth. But now the nexus between the boldness and the wisdom is lacking, because most of the time we'll come to these conferences, we'll come to these dialogues, but at the end of the day, how do you sustain the intergenerational dialogues to create the momentum so that it can go beyond just these conferences? Because at the same time, you'll create them. You said, one of the panelists said that getting the youth to be excited about something so that they can show up. As youth, we want to be excited about something. That's why when Naiyan Kiplagat said, our mother, let me call her our mother, she said, in their activities, they make sure that they have games. Those games bring out the youth. So what are you doing so that we can sustain these dialogues, so that we can get more youth to come out, not only here. Also, as the older generation, especially because our moderator said, you have a problem with trusting us. You can't give us wings, then clip them, if that makes sense. So what are you doing as our panelists, as the people ahead of us, so that we can ensure that us as youth, our wings are not clipped? Msikae kwa viti sana, mnatuachia hata sisi.
Thank you very much, Eva. I will pass that mic to Mmary, to answer that question, to answer Eva.
Thank you very much. I think it's not a question. It's a more of a call for action, a recommendation, and something we need to learn, all of us. But what I would even advise in this forum, as they have said, it's worth it having these intergenerational dialogues, even back home in our own organizations, in our communities and in areas. I have an experience of local partners, organizations we are working with, who are running these intergenerational dialogues, safe spaces, others for women, boys, intergenerational dialogues between leaders, existing leaders, and the young leaders who are aspiring for positions. And these are real good areas where we will harvest the experiences, we learn from others, and sometimes even advising those existing leaders that it is the time for you to step down and mentor others, because I also believe that if you stay in the position for a long time, you don't have even time to mentor others, it is easily, you can even destroy your own organization when you step out. When you have no even energy to mentor others, you cannot be able to see that you are making your organization progressing. So please take note of those intergenerational dialogue sessions within not only the organization or even within the community, to take those ideas and also to share your observations, recommendations, and all of the requests. Thank you.
Maybe to add something, the way I say that we normally celebrate the youth through maybe games or what, apart from that, in my organization, I have a board member of 11 members, and we have brought the youth. We have 3 youth as our board members, and also we are decision makers committees in our local government, whereby the youth are included. And another one is we normally nominate the youth to attend maybe international conferences or national conferences so that they can achieve more knowledge on that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So let me start with the last comment you made. I mean, mnafaa mtu achie viti. So here's the thing. I want to give you an example. I was, in my second year at the university, I was the chair, Westlands Area Advisory Council. No one created that space for me. Okay. So we definitely, older generation must be intentional in creating those spaces, but young people must continuously also show up. That's just very, very important. You must show up. Because if you're not showing up, then no space is getting created, and you're not pushing to create a new space. But also there's something else. I say, what you have is time, but it's also limited. I want to challenge you, because you're not the final young people. They're like 2 other generations behind you. And how are you practicing what you expect the older generation? How are you helping those who are younger than you redefine what success really looks like? Because personally, that is what I think needs to happen. We need to redefine what success really looks like in terms of parenting, in terms of schooling, and in terms of work. If we peg success to these that are kind of fuzzy, then we are not helping people grow in confidence and and sense of freedom to do what they should do at a younger age. So that's my challenge to you. And then also, the other thing is this. You're asking, how does this manifest? It's all small efforts here and there that creates a momentum. When people are talking about Gen Z movement in Kenya and Gen Z movement across Africa and Gen Z movement across the world, one thing that I can easily tell is that there is a history to this moment, and the history is they are the generation that really was smack right in the middle of children's rights movement. So that contributed to what we are seeing currently. The ability to ask, the ability to question, the ability to demand. So that was because we started creating spaces where we were saying, A child is here to be seen and also to be heard, not just to be seen and not to be heard. So there is a ripple effect. So you and I and everyone in this room, as we walk out and we take this with us, we take this to heart, we action it, that's the ripple effect that we need to create change.
So thank you very much to our panelists, and I will conclude this in very few sentences. One, if you belong to the older generation, I think it's very clear that you have been told it's time to trust young people to get involved, mentor them, give them an opportunity to co-create solutions, and support them accordingly. For all the young people here, I think meeting people where they are is not new to us. So let's keep being intentional in meeting people in the grassroots where they are, within their capacity, and then we build on that. So remember to build those structures and those ecosystems where we can build new ideas or generate new ideas, implement them, and co-create them with the people who we are working for. And then also something about the mindset, and I think that also comes very close to intentionality. How intentional are we about those change? You know, sometimes we get confused while we are on that path. We reach a point and then we are like, and what was the mission again? You know, we kind of have to go back to the drawing book. So let's remember to acknowledge, support, and appreciate that young people have the capacity to bring about change where it matters most. So thank you very much. I taught you how to clap. So it's 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. So we are going to do it twice. So again, now for my panel. Let's go. 1. Again. Thank you very much.